Welcome, comrades and infidels. Welcome to All About Cars. My name is Ralph Medeiros. I own and operate Ralph's Auto Center. We're located at 867 Church Street in North End of New Bedford. We're just off of Exit 5 off of Route 140. Very easy to get to. Not a traffic light or a stop sign. These old guys want to come back and play their music, huh? But you can give us a call here. We can talk about whatever's on your mind at 9960-500. 9960-500. And I want to thank Ken and Chris for me to come in and talk on their program. Very much appreciated. Two very interesting fellows. Can have a good conversation with them. But you can have a good conversation here. Give us a call. We'll talk about any car problems you're experiencing, whatever's bugging you in today's world. And there's plenty out there to bug you. Today, being September 24th, we're into fall. We're into our fall equinox. Darkness rules over light. And now for the next, what does it go? Another 6 months before it comes back, and we're on the other side. Okay, where light will overrule darkness. So that won't happen until the first day of spring, around March 21st. So we got 6 months to slug it through. I know in this area here, there's a lot of people who enjoy and like darkness, who like the winter, who like the cold and the snow, and I'm not one of them, I must admit. Sunrise today was at 6:34. We lost 7 minutes from last Saturday, and sunset, depressing, will be at 6:37. 6:37 will be sunset. We lost 12 minutes from last Saturday. Total lost 19 minutes this week. The tide of light is rushing to the southern hemisphere. Total hours and minutes lost from the first day of summer, 3 months ago, a little over 3 months ago, is 3 hours and 8 minutes of light. The tide of light is rushed back to the southern hemisphere. The universe waits for no one, not even me. So there you have it. The people who are into darkness, well, it's your turn now, okay? And the high tide is going to be taking place here in the New Bedford area at 3:21. 3:21. Low tide has already taken place. It was earlier this morning at 8:30. So 3:21, the tide is on the way up. At least the physical tide outside our harbor. And I guess the moon, the moon rise. Well, it sets. Actually, it's set. It's already risen. It'll be setting it this afternoon if you can see it. Maybe you can see it in the sky. It's kind of bright out there. It will be at 2:55. So there's what's happening around you. And we've got a caller on the line. Let's take this caller. Very good afternoon to you, caller. Are you there? Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Ralphie.
Billie.
Yeah.
Okay, you're on.
I'm on.
How are you?
All right.
Good.
Listen to the radio. I got caught sleeping here, I guess.
Yeah, I know it, huh? Woke you up.
Yeah.
So,
you know a gentleman by the name of Andrew Crudo and his lovely lady, huh?
yes.
Swears by you.
Does he? Doesn't
Oh, yeah.
swear at me, he swears by me.
No. Swears by you. Says he's a great guy and he'll help you out and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh. Very
How's
good.
that?
Yeah. Where'd you meet him? At one of the car shows?
No, at Arden Glen.
Oh.
Living Center there. They have a time there on Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
He happened to be there, and he heard me talk, and he said, I think I recognize that voice. So somebody come over and said, are you so-and-so? I said, yeah. So I heard you, and then he started talking about Ralph's Auto Center.
Oh, okay.
That's how it started.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So what's going to happen here, Ralph?
On what front, Billie?
You pick one.
Oh, God, it's all kinds. It's a great time to be alive. To see what's
I'm glad
happening,
of that.
and people are starting to wake up from a slumber.
Mm-hmm.
From what's happening around them in politics, and there seems to be a lot of anguish and angst out there. People are upset, and I think a lot of people want change.
Yeah, I heard that this morning with you and Ken Pittman, and
yeah,
I listened to that.
I don't think it's just in America. I think it's global. I mean, look what happened in Britain with Brexit. The Germans just had election last Sunday, and Merkel's party lost a lot of seats in their house. And it's changing. There's a big wave sweeping the world in the Western world.
Well, everybody's tired of the same old people running things, you know?
Well, I think this internationalism, this globalism, a lot of people are starting to get wake up to it that you can't have this international governance mainly through transnational corporations and their interests.
Right.
And that's what's happening. And look what's happened in this country. They've eviscerated this country of a tremendous amount of capital that's been invested overseas. And in many respects, we've done it to ourselves by not being educated and informed. A lot of people are ignorant of what's taking place. And these are people who are well educated. Doesn't mean they still cannot be ignorant. I've met a lot of people who have paper degrees, Billy, but they're pretty empty inside, you know, intellectually or in the many. Not that I'm an expert by any means. I'm just a street kid from New Bedford who's had to kind of work hard and fight.
No kid in the block, huh?
Yeah, fight for survival and be fair with folk. I mean, I'm just being upfront. I mean, as I see it, you disagree with me, fine. I can accept that.
It's got to be correctly said today. Anything incorrectly, they don't like you.
Well, yeah, politically correct. Yeah, well, being politically correct is the new, I call it the new cultural Marxism out there. Okay, so I think it's important that, I mean, we be PC, not be PC, and express our views, like it or not. And some people are not.
But you express your views sometimes, you know.
Yeah, well, some people express them, and and you hear it, and they may. They're wrong-headed in their ways, but that's America. You hear all sides, and people have a right to say it, as long as they're not being rude or vulgar or threatening in a sense. Saying they're going to physically harm someone. I mean, that's going over the line. But in the discourse of a conversation, people have a right to say. They can be wrong and say it. That's all I'm saying.
What we fought in this world, in this country, for our military.
Yeah.
In the speech.
Well, I often think that, Billy, a lot of these old timers, these vets who gave up, those who gave up their lives, if they were to come back and see the state that we're in now and the amount of patriotism out there, I'm not advocating by any means my country right or wrong. I'm not one of those adherents. Okay, if our country's wrong, we're wrong, and we should correct our ways. And God Almighty, we've been wrong, and certainly our foreign policy now. We've been wrong more often than right in many aspects. These trillion-dollar wars, wasting of resources and of young people, and of financial resources have been disgraceful. Okay, I think history is going to reflect on this. I won't be around to read the history books, but I think when you look, 50 years forward from now, when they reflect back on this time, they're going to be amazed to see what's taken place. And I think people are fed up with all. We're a welfare warfare state now.
Yeah, we're all tired. You're right.
Yeah, so welfare.
Same old.
Welfare
same
warfare
old people,
state.
Same old names. Yeah. It's just tiresome.
And we look around here.
Can't do any worse putting something different in there.
Ken asked
me. That's what I say.
Ken and Chris asked me about Russia and my experiences. One thing I noticed, and I was in a big city, 12 million. Did I see begging there? Or panhandling, begging, take your pick? Yes, I did. But you know what? As a percentage, I see more in this area here. Okay? And West City's far smaller than Moscow. I saw less begging there than here. And there's 12 million people there. So, and their incomes are less than ours. We're a more wealthier country on a per capita basis. But they're, it's amazing. I just didn't see. I mean, they have problems. For sure they have problems. Like we have problems. Yeah, they have problems with alcoholism. A lot of people smoke, and there's a problem there. No question about that. But that's the differences I notice. I think it's time that we really have to correct our ways, okay? And it's going to be painful. I don't care. I mean, and it'll come no matter who gets in power, whether you favor Hillary or Trump. So that's how I see it, Billy, and I hope you've been healthy and well.
I'm fine.
Good.
Now, are we ready? The war is begun again.
The war. That's right. We're into fall.
Yeah, a little truce
The
there.
summer vacation is over, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We're back at it. So what have you trying to conjure up against me now?
All right. I want to know what you know about a Cunningham C3.
Cunningham C3. Not a hell of a lot. I got to be honest. Cunningham.
Yep. Cunningham
C3.
C3.
Oh, Z or C?
C.
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 As in Clinton.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. C3.
Okay. Cunningham C3.
Yeah,
Is that a name of a car model?
it is a car.
It's a car. Cunningham, huh?
Yeah.
When the hell did they go out of business? 1915 or what?
No.
They were around in the 30s?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think they made it into the 40s.
Yes.
They did, huh?
Yeah.
Under the Cunningham brand?
Yeah. Even into the 50s.
Who was that marketed by? Was it made by Kaiser or
No.
or Studebaker?
That's the name of the company.
Really?
Cunningham C3.
Yeah. What did they make? Like little go-karts or what?
No. They made an exotic American car.
Exotic.
They also made racing cars.
Racing car. Look that up. Cunningham.
And the company was from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Wait a minute. West Palm Beach, so it built cars for real rich people, huh? The bourgeoisie.
Well, I'm not giving you some hints.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm gonna look that up. A Cunningham, huh?
Yep.
Let's see what kind of machines they made. So they weren't made for the proletariat, the masses. This car was not made for the masses.
Well,
I see one here. Looks like a Cobra. Is that a Cunningham there on the far right?
Now,
yeah, it looks like a Cobra, huh?
Now they're using this engine. See, it was Italian-made body, and it had a Chrysler Hemi engine in them.
I'm looking at one here now. It's cherry red. Looks like a ragtop coupe, like a roadster coupe.
Yeah, it's kind of a
and it has wire wheels on it. It's really a nice looking car. Very Euro-ish, huh, Matt? And you're looking at that
now,
car?
look at the grill.
Yeah, the grill is like...
Look like a Nash grill of a Nash.
Yes, Billie. But it's like concave instead of convective.
Yes.
Yeah.
And look at the bumper now, and the bumper uprights, and the way the bumper on the other side of the bumper upright curves backwards.
Yeah.
Downwards, I should say.
In the center, you mean, to go with the grill?
Yeah, it's curved, but also now, you see where the bumper guards are?
Yep.
That bumper continues, but it goes down around the fender, if you notice it. See it?
Yeah, it goes around. Yes, it goes around the fender curve.
Yep.
Yeah, like if you scraped by something, it would hit the bumper instead of the...
Right. And it's a three... you have the wheel, but it's a three-spoke little spinner hubcap.
Yeah, I see that. The wire wheels. Reminds me of the Austin Healey 3000. What year is that car, though?
1952.
Well, that's very progressive styling for the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can look this up, folks. The 1953 Cunningham C3. It's that body. Does it say it's built by Pininfarina?
The body was built in Italy. Yeah,
but was Pininfarina the guys who stamped it out? Like Fisher was to GM, Pininfarina was in Italy, and to Common Gear and other people that hired these guys to design and stamp out their car bodies. Does it say who made that body, Matt? It says Italian, but let's see if it's Pininfarina. Because
it's covered by Briggs Cunningham Company also. Briggs has something to do with this.
So this was an American operation, right? Even though
and American.
Well, yeah, they brought
the body.
Yeah.
Briggs did something here, and they used the Chrysler Hemis, the early.
Wow. So they put a big
315 cubic inch.
Yeah, they put a big V8.
Power engine V8.
Yeah. So that had some low end torque, to say the least.
Right.
Right.
It had it clocked at 130.
Wow.
Top speed.
No, that Roadster, that must be a pretty rare car. I would say that car is probably over $100,000 to buy one of those in the marketplace right now.
Yeah, they made some. Not a whole lot, but they did make some of them, yes.
Yeah.
And they also made them for racing.
Well, I see there one. It looks like a Cobra here. We have up on the screen. Matt has it, and it reminds me of that Cobra car kit that you can get down in Wareham. You could get in Wareham, but I don't know about now. But
well, according to this, cast original type make a manifold accommodate to a Zenith. Ever hear of that? Single barrel.
Yep.
Carburetor.
Yep.
You've heard of them?
Zenith. Yep. I've heard of Zenith.
Okay.
But that's not using one single barrel carburetor. How many have they got?
No.
They're using like
You've been looking there closely.
8 of them, right?
Like about 2, 4, 6, 8 of them.
Yeah, 8 of them. One for each. One for each throat. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Well, imagine tuning that thing up. Oh my God.
Well, the first time I heard of a Zenith carburetor, the first one on me.
Yeah, I've heard of Siemens carburetors. I mean, and each one for each. Imagine a linkage and adjusting that thing for tune-up.
Yes.
Boy,
Right.
you'd have to have somebody who really knew his business to adjust 8 carburetors and make sure they're all in tune with each other. There was enough problems with the British cars when they had dual sliders on the Austin Healey 3000s. They were problematic in themselves.
Well, how about the Americans with the when Bill come out with the dual carburetors?
Yeah. Well, you have it on your Buick, yeah.
You got them things hard to keep in tune.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it on. You have one with.
I have them with the duals, yeah.
You still have it? You get off there?
No, I got them.
Yeah, I know you. I've seen that. That's an amazing car, that Buick. 41, 40. I think it's 41 Buick.
41, yeah. That's when they made it. 41, 42.
Yeah.
Blue cars.
Yeah.
Strongbirds.
Yeah.
And they were always having a hard time keeping them in sync.
Yeah, well, you couldn't have some amount work on that. That's for sure.
You're right.
Yeah, no, you had to have somebody who and that was in a day where a screwdriver and a hammer took care of most problems. But
yes,
you needed somebody who knew what they were doing.
Yeah, you had to get a good old Buick guy or Buick mechanic to fool with them.
Yeah.
So in the Buick Club, there's a few old timers, and they've got mine running pretty decent.
So, talking about carburetors, and was it Pontiac came out with the Tri-Power in '59?
Tri-Power, yeah.
Was it '59? I know it was late '50s.
Yeah, around '59, '58.
Yeah, because I saw a friend of mine one time I was out coming up from New York, and he said, "Hey, you near Hartford?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "Can you do me a favor? Can you go check out this car?" And it was in I don't know if it was East Windsor, South Windsor, not far from the auction over there. So. And I GPSed it, and I went to this guy's house, and he had a 1960 Catalina 2-door, and it had tri-power, which I hadn't seen one of those. I knew they had tri-power. I was surprised to see that car. Now I had a Catalina had a big engine in it with a single carburetor, so that tri-power was interesting to see that, and that's what interests this guy to go look at it. Yes, it had tri-power, but the body was a disaster. It had been left in a tobacco shed. Through the Connecticut Valley, you get a lot of tobacco sheds, right? Where they grow cigar tobacco.
Lasts too long, the body.
Yeah, and it was in this tobacco shed, and the body, God almighty, it was in there for years. And it just was going back to the earth, kind of like we go back to dust, or the car goes back into the ground, so to speak, and it was well on its way.
Ralphie.
Yes, sir.
Before SUVs, right?
Yeah.
They used to make sort of the same thing, but they were different.
Well, they made an SUV. They didn't quite call it that, but yeah.
Do you know what it was?
Suburbans, I think. General Motors.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So you got me.
SUVs and Suburban. You're right.
Yeah, they made them in the 30s even.
Too.
Yeah, the Chevys made I think the Suburban goes back to the 30s.
Yes, it does.
It goes back to the 30s, and then
way
Jeep.
back. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So that car's got a long history. Oh, that vehicle's got a long history.
Right.
And then the Jeep Wagoneers came out in the late 40s, early 50s, which were quite a nice machine. The Wagoneers used to sell to families and women for kids and families. And those cars, I mean, today they're definitely collectors.
You don't see many of them around.
No, you don't. Well, here in New England, the rust eats everything.
Yeah.
It's just everything up here doesn't last too long, especially here in the coast, and the salt in the air, and then in the winter the salt they use, and in them days they didn't really have the coatings to preserve the steel as well as today. And today with the undercoating, which we do a lot of to preserve these cars.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah, you're right. I should have shut up about that until you hang up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we get Billie in for an undercoat. Yeah, right, Billie. Well, you know what? This is the weather, though.
Yeah.
Nice and warmish, but dry and cool. It sets up nice.
Do it, yeah.
Yeah, now's the time. Now's the time to paint and do those kind of things. Yeah, it's a good day to paint a car on a day like today, as long as you're not in the wind. But,
there you go.
Yeah, but you're right.
Ralph.
All right.
It's kind of a standoff. You missed one and you got one.
Yeah, well, that Cunningham, yeah, that's, I honestly didn't know about those.
Well, it went way into the 50s.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't say, Matt, when they went out of business, on that note you had there. I don't know if they showed it, or the last ones they built. And they probably have, Well, it's obviously a custom-built company in West Palm Beach.
Yep, that's where they were located. That's where they were made.
Oh,
Palm
nice,
Beach, West Palm Beach,
nice place to
Florida
be.
was that's where the company was.
Nice place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Nice place to be, and especially in the winter months. Summer gets a little hot, but right now they're going to be perking up as all the snowbirds start heading south.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to be bringing in you have a hummingbird feeder?
No.
Oh, all right. I have one, and the hummingbirds have left. At least in my neighborhood, they've left. Maybe there's a transient coming down from the north, but I think this past Wednesday's the last one I saw feeding at it, and I haven't seen one since. So I think they're heading south.
The area, huh?
Yep, they're heading south. They know. I mean, they usually leave like a week before fall begins, but this summer was so warm and dry. I think they hung around another week. But when they leave, that's pretty much proof that summer's over, and you won't see them now for until about the beginning of May. First week in May is usually when they return.
Wow.
They're hardy little guys.
All right, Ralphie.
All right, Billy. Thank you.
That was half and half, not bad.
Yeah. Thank you for calling.
I got one, you got one.
Yep. Good workout. So it's begun.
All right, Ralph.
Thanks, Billy.
See you later.
We'll be in touch.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And you too can give us a call. The caller was on the line. Please call us back. Give us a call at 9960500, 9960500. We've got the debates coming up. That's a big sports event, if you will, and politics going to take place, and everybody's going to have they say this is going to have the largest people listenership or watching, larger audience. They're predicting over 100 million, more than a Super Bowl. And I was surprised. I heard some trivia talking about the largest audiences on TV. And I understand that the final scene of MASH had one of the largest audiences in history, which I didn't know. And it was 100 million people tuned in to watch the last episode. Now MASH, I guess, I don't know when the last episode was. Any idea on that? Well, 90s, I guess, maybe? I don't know.
I want to say late 80s.
Late 80s? Okay, sure. I would say, okay, late 80s, early 90s. Okay.
I know the series, MASH, the TV series, lasted longer than the Korean War.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, well, back then, too, you had less choices of TV. Not everybody was plugged into cable, and it costs money to be on cable, and a lot of people, I'm not going to pay for that. I get it for free. Hi, caller. Welcome to the program. Very good afternoon.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey. How are you?
Better go to church tomorrow.
Better go to church? What did I do wrong?
and pray to God that Mrs. Clinton doesn't make it in. If she does, over.
Well, yeah.
Life as we know it, especially as you know it, because you're a little bit older than me, is gone.
Well,
it's unbelievable, the carnage every day, and now it's turning into a norm. And I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like this.
Oh no, we're in interesting times. It shows that there's a lot of angst out there. A lot of people are troubled by what's taking place in our country, and we have a huge cultural divide here. It's a battle between cultures and views, and I can tell you this, the way the country's heading is not the America I grew up in. Okay.
No, that's what I meant by my opening statement.
Yeah.
It is not. And if she gets in,
I think
it'd take a real revolution to turn it around. Not a political revolution, but a revolution like in the 1700s to turn it around, because you're just going to go down that road and there'll be no coming back from it.
Well, I kind of agree with you. I would say that we need a new American Renaissance, if you will, okay, which took place during the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and get back to, those who work hard prosper, those who play by the rules prosper, and this constant march to socialism is not the way to go. The rest of the world, some other countries like the Russians, have given it up and are trying to move away from it, and we seem to be embracing more of it with this statism we have and this constant taxation, regulation, and we're a welfare warfare state, and it's just
not even the lies, Ralph.
What's that?
the lies that are told to us day in and day out.
But that's not nothing new. You know,
No, but it's
you know what I mean.
blatant
But
than
the
ever.
shrill is louder because and so many people are well, the people are just dumbed down. I mean, it's a different world we're in, Larry. It's a different world we're in.
You heard the document on Friday? Obama lied about the server that Hillary had using a false name.
Well,
jeez, it just sounds like treason to me.
Well, look how they've managed the whole thing. Of course, they're in power, so they're going to play it to their interest, and they're going to see. The name of the game is to keep the party in power, no matter what party that is. And like the FBI came out and made their announcements on the Labor Day weekend. When they came out with the first announcements on the 4th of July, the Friday before, and everybody's taken off. See, everything's planned and staged and managed. They know very well what they're doing, and they're doing it to their best interests.
What are they going to do if the working class America takes to the streets? That's what I want to know.
Well,
because it's not the working class America that's going around doing terrorist acts, going to malls, shooting people, burning cities down. What would they do if working class America actually takes to the streets?
Well, Larry, that day could very well come, but as long as people have, the masses have their ice cream in the freezer and their beer in the refrigerator and their potato chips in the cabinet, and they can still get porn on their computers. We're not there yet. So,
No,
I mean, I hate to be that way about it, but I hate to say it that way. But until, Joe Six-Pack wakes up and says, what do you mean? What's happening here? I used to buy a 6-pack of beer for $8. Now it's $20. Hey, I can't afford that. What are we doing? Then he realized that he's been caged. And I don't care what nationality, what color you are. It has nothing to do with it. Control is control. Statism is statism. But as a footnote, my buddy Ken just texted me here, one of the listeners out there in the audience, who I know he services with me. He says the goodbye, farewell, amen, goodbye was 256th version of MASH, and that was on February 28, 1983. God, I didn't think it was that far back. So cable TV was in its infancy, so most people were listening to their TVs via terrestrial broadcast, in other words, over the air.
Yeah.
So, and it was a 2.5 hour episode. Okay, thank you, Ken, for that notification here, the text he just sent me.
So you'll think that there's a lot to read into the amount of viewership, which I didn't think about, but I guess if we have
Did you hear the agenda
to talk about, then that's an interesting variable.
It's supposed to be a 90-minute stand-up with hot mics all the way through.
She can't stand for 90 minutes.
Well, I don't know what they're going to do in that case, but
I don't think she can.
Well, she obviously has been said to have some real physical problems, which, it's unfortunate, but that seems to be the reality. And whether she has the stamina to go forward, we'll find out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think they're going to change the rules for her, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I take no comfort in her being ill or anyone for that matter.
No. But I mean, you're going to be president of the free world, man. You better be able to stand up. And Trump's a tough bird. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. Well, Trump. I mean, if we definitely need change, and he's definitely an advocate of change. Yeah. With Clinton coming in, you have a continuum of the Obama's third administration, except at the very top, she'll be her and her chosen people. But to the rest of the people in the upper top, middle, lower government jobs and what have you will stay in power if they've been good partisans to the party and worked hard for her. They'll continue, no doubt, with their jobs. But we won't see any serious reforms that's going to, put us to getting this country back on track along our constitutional lines that, to get back. And but Trump.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little leery of Trump on some of his issues. I'm concerned about civil liberties, privacy, and the surveillance state that we're in now. And Obama's continued on from Bush, and there's, with more edicts passed. And that concerns me, the loss of civil liberties in our country. And
Yep,
a good
I
movie
hear
playing
that.
now. If you have any of the listeners out there, should go out and see Snowden. The movie about the fellow who released to WikiLeaks all the spy details of how we spy, how this country spies on us, regular people. They spy on us and monitor our conversations. And this isn't right, folks. This is not right. This is not America under a
It's interesting, too, that they had such a narrative against Trump that they did pretty good knocking him down.
Well, because there's too much at stake here. See, he's not bought off and paid off, at least not yet. And if he is, it's the greatest game in the world of deceiving.
Absolutely.
Deceiving
and you. Know what? If he is a schmuck, he won't laugh. He won't make a second term.
Well, but that's okay.
Behind him.
That's okay, because they'll put another schmuck that's bought off and paid off if he is. So no, but that's the way it goes until there's a true revolution. But I mean that if he's been bought off and gotten to, now so far it seems as though they haven't gotten to him. He's moderated. His VP kind of shows that, plugging into the system a little bit. We'll have to see how it plays out. I mean,
that shows there's no negotiation skills. That's why I know what you're saying. If he gets in there, he won't be able to change the world, but it's a glimmer of hope. And I still say that he'll be able to negotiate on both sides of the aisle, because that's what the guy is. He's
well,
he appears to be an excellent negotiator. Appears.
Well, it's going to take more.
If we get the chance, I hope we get the chance to see. That's all.
I mean, if you look back, I mean, Ronald Reagan was a reformer, but some of the reforms worked, some of them didn't. We'll see how it goes. The country
we just want to get on a different path here to. Well, it's not going to take. At least maybe it just won't go to hell in a handbag. And for your kids.
I think anyone, the young people coming up, those who try to play by the rules, raise a family, they're under severe pressure. I mean, if you're trying to do it the old-fashioned way, like you marry the woman you knocked up, and you raise your family, and you practice whatever religion you practice.
Oh yeah, they can't do it.
You support your community, but there's less of those folks nowadays than ever. There's no traditional American beliefs of a Christian-based, God-based country, with integrity and honesty, the old American principles. And today everybody tries to scam everybody at all levels, from the highest levels in banking and government right down to the low levels of people trying to cheat on their EBD cards or wherever.
Every day.
And so the whole society has been corrupted, and we've got to get back on a moral track. There's a universal laws we're breaking and will be held accountable for them. Regardless if you're an atheist or a devout whatever. It's irrelevant. We're breaking some universal laws, and we'll be held accountable, Larry. Yep. And we are. Look around you. It's not obvious. It's not obvious. Hey, you know what? I didn't see.
I'm coming up to a customer's house.
All right. And, make money.
Well, we're doing our job, turning a few bucks. Try to keep this economy rolling. Try to keep some of these young men working. Continue
rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
And we continue to listen to you, and we appreciate the words of wisdom you hear out there. And your good words that we get to hear every week.
Well, and thank you for listening.
It's good to listen to.
Thank you. How's that young man doing his Jeep? Is it still running okay?
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Tell him to make sure he maintains that, okay? Because it did have a lack of maintenance, and there's nothing for free, okay?
No.
He's got to keep it up.
I'm going to mention it to him.
Yeah, you got to keep it up and not just pass it off
he's
cash.
He's got like the worst luck in the world. I mean, he came out and parked in somebody else's parking spot, and they slashed his tires.
Wow.
Right? And then we go to the insurance company, and then 2 tires, and it wasn't even nice. I said, well, maybe we can, I make the calls for them because they don't know what, and they clearly have so much on their plate, that it's extremely tough, if you don't have a father or somebody trying to help you out. And these guys are all like kids to me. They're not kids, they're men.
Right.
And
but they also be cognizant of the fact that they have to think right to have the right things happen in their lives. If they're not thinking right or clearly, and that's something you learn in life as you take a few punches in life. So that's my word of caution to you. I'll let you go, my friend.
All right. right, Ralph. You have a good
Thank
day,
you.
and I'm going to remind him to make sure he's taking care of it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Ralph.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Very good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon to you, Ralph.
Oh.
You know what? It hurts me to no end. Listen to people and really to think that we are in the 21st century and the thinking is still about 50 years behind us. Yeah, you said something earlier that it hurts because it's just not the America that we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here 50 years, so technically I grew up.
Well, you're breaking up. I don't know if you're inside a brick wall or something, or if you can get near a window.
I'm in dark. It's all right.
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little better. Yep.
Okay. But it hurts me to understand that there's so much literacy in this country that has offered so much free education, and the lack of progress in the thinking process, like you said earlier. The thinking process, it shows literacy, shows inadequacy in proper thinking, deep thinking, and people are just living on superficial, what I call fantasies, instead of dealing in reality. When you get to the nitty gritty, the reality of what it's going to take to get this country in a different rhythm, and in a more progressive rhythm. It'll take a lot more than anybody can. Right now, I don't see anybody that has the charisma, that has the deliverance to get people motivated to do the right thing. People want to continuously live in fantasies. When a reality hits, nobody wants to deal with it.
Well,
and that's why it's costing so much money to operate this country.
Well, yeah,
and
because
the economics are not there. Unless we produce gadgets and sell gadgets to the rest of the world and collect that revenue to pay off our debt, we're just not going to survive. Because right now we are producing to buy other people's production.
Well, we're redistributing our wealth around the world.
Yeah. Look, it's simple. If you have a coffer and you have $100 in that coffer, $100 bills, and every time you have to buy something, you just dish out $1. But you don't sell anything to collect $2 back into the coffer, you're going in a hole. And that's what we've been doing. We've been dishing out a lot of money to protect other people and to protect the world, from Armageddon. So our military, it's been draining us with with steel bombers, with everything.
Yeah.
With all the military equipment that we've been putting out there in billions of dollars. 60 Minutes just showed one of our submarines lost, I don't know how many billions of dollars.
Oh, billions, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we need some hardware. No one argues that. But we're also being held up and robbed.
Well, we need to produce money to pay for those goods.
Well, we got to get, in other words, you're saying the country has to get back to work.
We need to produce gadgets.
Yeah. Well, it was once said 2 generations ago, America's business is business. Now our business is primarily war and, social programs, so,
those social programs are needed because now we have 350 million people here. There was a time when there was only 175 million.
What's the difference?
And now we have a lot more people. Look, how many more elderly folks are living on, additional assistance? We have to dish out that. We have to pay.
Well, they were like the older folks now.
Benefits that were earned, the benefits that have been earned by a lot of people,
Right. But I mean, we've got tens of millions on food stamps because they're poorer now. The country is not prosperous. So we have people getting poorer.
Ralph, I still say that we have the resources to pay for all those good things, but needs to be properly handled. Like you have a business. You couldn't have stayed stayed in business all these years unless you handle your financial affairs in a proper manner and the proper distribution of your costs and your personnel,
But
maintaining good personnel.
I'll be
to help
frank with you.
produce.
I'll be frank with you. It's more difficult now than ever to stay in business because
Yeah, I know that.
my customers now are poorer. Makes it harder for me to survive. If you're prospering, it's easier for me to prosper. So as the
Sure.
community has a struggle, it puts the struggle on me. I mean, there's nothing rocket science here, but you have to think in that term.
Let's go back to the formula that I offered earlier. You have to have production of gadgets.
So you're advocating more free enterprise, more capitalism, more
Yeah.
individual responsibility, less government, and with God's help, a better world.
Well,
That's what you're saying.
Look, if we produce more, we can afford to pay for all those needs.
Well, but then so
But
you're
we're
saying
not producing. We're not producing now. We are in the service. We are in the service world.
so you need more
Different.
enterprise. We need more enterprise.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Need
true
more.
because there's less small businesses are closing and failing at a higher rate than new ones are opening. Under this false economy that we're often told is going so great.
Well, the marketing is more competitive now than it was before. Look, you're in the auto dealerships. How many used car lots were when you grew up? There were half a dozen of them throughout the city of New Bedford. Now you probably have 25 or 30.
What, car lots?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it goes with the tide. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. It's more competitive, and there's less money to go around for all that competitiveness.
Well, let me
we
tell
have to produce more gadgets. We have to produce gadgets that the rest of the world can buy, and we can get our money back.
Well,
I've said it. Thank you.
All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for the call. Well, his thoughts are we have to produce more, which means more enterprise, more free enterprise. You can't have the state produce things. The state can only take from you to give to me. Okay? That's how it works. The state is authority. And this authority is exercised through violence in a sense. The ability to tax is the ability to confiscate. And if you want less of something, tax it. Okay? And that's what they've, when you look around, you see what's happening with the tax burden. There's less incentive to go into business because they tax you at every corner, the regulations to make it happen. I mean, regardless of your political views, if you start looking at these things, these problems in a more organic sense and put aside your partisan beliefs, you can, and you keep an open mind, you can see what's happening here in this country, okay? Everybody's belly's been full for a while, but, when we run out of other people's money, and when the Chinese and they hold all these debt of ours from our treasury start demanding their cash back because they want to buy real assets and turn those assets in, the American obligations to the treasury, and they cash them out because see, when we buy all these Chinese goods, we can't pay them back with their money because we haven't sold them anything, so we issue them debt notes, and we have these huge trade surpluses. Deficits. We don't have a surplus. God almighty, we haven't had a surplus in decades. So these are the consequences when we have a good part of our economy offshore. And it's given us a false sense of lower prices and all that. Yeah, sure, when you get these Chinese workers working for $50, $100 a week, making your new toaster oven and all that, and it's cheap to buy, so prices seem reasonable to you. Okay, we're coming up to the news. We're going to be breaking here. Come back after the news. Another hour left of All About Cars with Ralph Medeiros. Stay tuned. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind. We'll talk about some cars, too, and some super deals we got at Ralph's on good quality used cars. Andy's on the lot today. If you're in the market for used cars, you should stop by and talk to him. Start the conversation. If you're just starting to look, or you have a question, or you're looking into picking something up, start the conversation. Okay, we're going to be back in, about 6 minutes, I guess. Stay tuned. Find out what's happening around the world on WBSM. We'll be back. service. For those of you who just tuned in or are new to the program, I own and operate Ralph's Auto Center. We're located at 867 Church Street in the north end of New Bedford. We're just off of Route 140, exit 5. And if you go that way off of 140, there's not a traffic light or a stop sign. Just bear right onto Church Street. We're down the road just over half a mile, right after Regal House, Webb Plumbing and Heating, and Dollar General. And Ralph's is at the right side. And on the left side of the street is the entrance to New Bedford Vocational's Technical High School, the faculty entrance and the bus entrance. So, speaking of which, there's a car wash coming up in October for the theater group there to support them, and Jerry Morrissey and his wife run the theater group there and set it up with the help of the students and other people involved in the production. They do an outstanding job there, and they deserve your support. I don't have the ticket with me. I know I think it's the first week of October coming up, or second week, I think. But I'll get that clarified and announce it to you as I get more information. But they sincerely do need your support with this community because they do an outstanding job and giving these young people an opportunity to learn the arts of acting and theater, and it goes with them for the rest of their lives. They become better communicators and not afraid to go in front of a crowd or meet people and have conversation, as so many young people today are so introverted. So that's coming up, and I will brief you on that as I get more information. But they certainly need your support in this community. And let's see, my son Andrew's at the lot. If you want to go by and talk about cars, I'll go to ralphscars.com, and our inventory is always changing. We specialize in cars priced between $4,000 and $15,000, with a heavy emphasis between 4 and 10, the value end of the market. We do service these cars out thoroughly so that you have, minimize your amount of problems you're going to have with them. And we put a 90-day warranty on it, which is usually 3 times longer than in most cases you're going to get from anybody. And that's at no extra charge to you. We put more money in our cars before we take your money. Where a lot of dealerships just want to take your money and put as little into cars as they have to. They'll buy your ride and get the car on the road and get it a sticker. Has to get a sticker, and they're forced to meet that obligation. And after that, it's you come back, forget about it. They want to talk to you. But our warranty and our terms are very liberal. We do take care of our customers. We go for repeat sales. Are we perfect? No, but we do strive for perfection. And we're not just here to make a quick buck and be gone the next day. That's not the way we operate. So, and you have to be cautious when you shop around for services, whether you're having a car fix or buying a car. Just read the reviews online. That gives you a good indicator. I mean, look at the AG. They're going to be prosecuting a dealer in, I think it was Westport, was in the paper last week. And they've had problems out there. So a lot of people get abused. And they work hard for their money. They may not be very sophisticated when they shop, and unfortunately they get into these snafus with some of these bad actors out there. So to avoid that, come by and see us. Shop around by all means. Get educated. I have no arguments with that. We compete every day. We're up for election every day we're open. Every hour we're open. We're up for election. You vote with your dollars. We pay attention to that. So I'm used to elections. And with us, it's survival. So I've been in a competitive environment all my life. I haven't had the protection of subsidies, if you will. Okay, so it's just been out there and just have to make your way through. And of course, along the way, you're forced to support a lot of other entities in the form of all these levies and taxations that you're forced to bear the expense of, and to survive. So it's not getting any easier. Very good afternoon to you, caller. You with us?
Well, good afternoon, Ralph.
Hey, Chuck, how you been?
Not too bad for an old geezer.
No, don't say you're old. Keep
Hey, look, pal. When I get up in the morning and I look back at the bed and I'm still not there, and when I go into the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I am there, it's probably going to be a reasonably good day.
That's good. That's good you're with us. We need diversity of opinion, and I have nothing against that at all.
Well, I tell you this much, Ralph. I don't say a word I don't mean.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good.
And my views are based not on simply partisanship, but what I see.
Yeah. Well,
like I agree with one of your first callers who talked about the only thing that's going to help this country, and it's not going to happen, is to bring productivity back to this country. But that's not going to happen.
Well, I think we have productivity. I think.
I mean real productivity. We're going to define productivity as profitability. In my mind, it also serves the worker.
Okay. All right. I see the thread you're on. I was going to clarify that. Okay.
Because real capitalism is based on somebody having a need or a desire, which means they got the money to do it, and the capitalist meets that need or desire and makes a profit on the deal.
Right.
So that assumes. See, I curse Ronald Reagan. Because that voodoo trickle-down economics is fraudulent economics.
Well,
people won't look, for example, CNN several weeks ago did a series of programs on the 1980s. And one of them was about economics. But a lot of people forget what Ronald Reagan let loose. The corporate raiders, the T. Boone Pickens and the rest of them, who, by the way, supports Trump, who broke the back of some of these major corporations that they nearly wrecked themselves to save themselves, if you know what I mean. The banking industry. I remember a woman years ago. She worked for NBIS in customer service, and she had gray hair, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In other words, she knew what she was talking about. And I remember her saying this, and this is way over 20 years ago, that she was afraid of what the banks were getting themselves into. Boy, she was probably too smart for her own good. And one thing Reagan did was, if you look at, and I argued with somebody on this, so I want to be informed. I looked at the data from OMB and Office of Management Budget. People don't know what that is. It's okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Up to Reagan, the growth of the debt was linear. Beginning with Reagan, it became exponential. We built up this huge military. We pulled battleships out of mothballs. We shelled Lebanon.
Yeah.
We got 250 Marines killed. Then we pulled out of Lebanon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why did we build up the military? Do you recall why?
Well, the argument was Soviet Union.
Right.
There's two flaws with that argument. Number one, Eisenhower had said, beware the military-industrial complex. He was actually very aware that the Soviet Union was nowhere near as strong as it was being portrayed.
Who was?
Huh?
Who was?
Eisenhower.
Well, you're going back to the 50s. I mean,
That's
you can't.
right.
But the Soviet Union.
But what I'm saying is, we were sent a bill of goods about the Soviet Union.
Oh, yeah.
They were incredibly powerful.
Well, they were, though. They
weren't.
Well, wait a minute.
It was a sham.
Wait, no. In some ways, yes and no. But my analogy of it is, the Soviet Union. Are you familiar with, like, the little marsh crabs, the little Jolly Joe Rockers, they used to call them? It's this little crab that lives in the little holes in the marsh.
I have no idea.
You never been out of salt marsh and seen that?
No.
Oh, you've been a city kid too much.
Well, so be it.
Okay. Well, there's these little crabs that live in the marsh. They come out of a little hole, and they have a huge claw and a little body. And that's the analogy of the Soviet Union, that their military was this huge claw, but their economy was this little body. You couldn't get a pair of shoes, but they had the latest AK-47, the latest Sam rocket.
That's what I'm saying. That's not.
And we're kind of
really
turning into
true.
that now. Well, yes, it was.
They had nuclear submarines, for example. Some of them were death traps, and officers would have to go into the reactor room to chip the corrosion off the control rod.
Listen, we've had our problems too. I mean, let's be real.
See, this has been the grandest corporate welfare we have ever seen. People said we defeated the Soviet Union militarily and bankrupted them. Well, guess what? We bankrupted ourselves too.
Well, we've certainly done it now because we're running deficits of $20 trillion. That's doubled since Bush and Bush.
With the incredible growth started with the likes of Reagan. It's corporate welfare.
Well,
then the Soviet Union fell. We were talking about peace dividends, and all of a sudden we got ourselves involved in all these stupid wars that we can't even win.
Well, okay.
But it does justify. Let's see, a new class of ballistic
we can win, but we haven't
in 2020. The USS Zumwalt, which showed up in Newport last week, a stealth class of destroyer, USS Illinois, a newly commissioned submarine, and I could go on, but I won't. There's where your money went. It certainly did go to help the little people.
Well, we have a tremendous amount of social programs we're paying for.
Yes, but we like saying it. But where the big fat is those corporate spending.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
Absolutely, no question about it.
Well,
Believe
but you know
me,
what? You're
no
talking
doubt
about Reagan, and fine, okay, we can criticize any administration. But your comrade, Bill Clinton, did more to reduce... He did away with Glass-Steagall.
Oh, I
he did
agree
NAFTA.
with that.
I mean, look what he's done. I mean, what you're saying is there's no difference between Republican and Democrat at the top.
Well,
at the top.
Because the answer to the big money. As far as I'm concerned, whatever politician you have in office at the higher levels, I'm not talking about city council or any of that, they're just front people for corporations. For example, when you see a NASCAR race or an IndyCar race, and on their outfits, their fireproof outfits, the cars, they got stickers all over the place of who sponsors them. I wish the politicians would wear that. Because then we know who really sponsors them. I see again this week the Fed chickened out on raising interest rates. Well, guess what? They're not going to raise its interest rate. You raise interest rates, the game over, and the thing collapses.
Well, they can't. Well, they can raise them, but they're going to have to do very modest. I think we're in this era now for quite some time to come of low interest rates. So
I agree. The people who saved very high.
But why?
They get screwed.
Why?
We're bailing out the big guy because I think there's people at the top smart enough to know that we don't keep bailing out the system, it's going to collapse.
Well, no. Oh, yeah. I won't argue. Yeah, but don't forget now. You're forgetting the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is our government is in debt up to its eyeballs.
Absolutely.
We have a current account deficit of $20 trillion. And we have
and most of that being caused by military spending.
No.
Absolutely. No question about it. I won't budge an inch on that.
Well, then educate yourself.
But it's been very profitable for some.
Yeah. Well, the transnational
Eisenhower knew he wasn't going to be allowed to stop it all those years ago.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Listen. More importantly, though, did you ever listen to Kennedy's Secret Society speech?
No.
Please do. Then you'll have a better grasp of the events.
Sir, I have an excellent grasp of the events.
Well,
the little guy is being pushed down into the dirt.
Well, what else is new? It happened during the proletariat with the Roman Empire.
I only go buy it when it's on sale, but I was going to go buy some grapes. Usually I get them at the same store for 99 cents a pound. Now it's $1.29.
Oh, yeah.
I pulled down a box of cereal this morning off my shelf. And I said, that doesn't look right. Oh, I paid the same price, but the box was no longer 16 ounces. It was 12.
Who do you blame for that?
Huh?
Who do you blame for that? Greed. Oh, gee.
Greed is good. Well, you're going to have that growth of profits. You're going to have the money so Bear can buy Monsanto.
Yeah, but did you ever think that...
You're going to have the money so Pfizer can buy it since April.
Well, yeah, listen, that certainly goes on, but do you ever think of the fact that your money's worth less? And why is your money worth less? Have you ever thought that far ahead?
I know we're going to go blame the government. But, in reality, it's raw greed.
No. See, you're misinformed.
What you saw with Wells Fargo wasn't an example of two things. Greed and no moral value.
The chief executive of Wells Fargo should at the least resign and at the worst be prosecuted. And his upper management, absolutely. No,
I know this much.
I know I would be.
I've opened a bank account or closed a bank account. I had to sign for it.
Well, listen.
So
I'm not condoning that.
It was forgery, and nobody's going to go to jail.
But because they're worth hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, it's a different ballgame than you and I. You and I are held to a much higher standard. And in good cases, Hillary Clinton getting away. And Hillary Clinton got away with her breach of security laws, where other people way below her are in prison for many, many years to come. So
again, you look at Wells Fargo, the woman who was in charge of that division, walking away
took $20 million.
$125 million retirement package.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, under under Reagan, in '81, the deficit was 78 billion, not trillion now. We're talking billions, so we got to get the right perspective here. It was just under 79 billion, and when he left office, it was 152 billion. Pocket change by today's standards, even when you index for inflation. But
that was the beginning of exponential growth of our debt. I know it. I researched it. I'm not going to debate it. But we've gotten to a point
right.
that when you get debt on top of debt on top of debt,
gotta let you
this
go.
is what happens. One last thought.
Go ahead.
We see Yahoo this week had a problem.
Yeah, they had their legs wide open. They got raided.
Again, none of this stuff is safe. And what I get really offended at, okay, they'll buy you some credit monitoring. I'll call it insurance. It's not. And then it's your problem. Wait a minute. You did take good. I don't have an account with them. You did take good care of my data. When are you going to be responsible? When are you going to fix the problems? Instead of blaming the little guy all the time.
Well, things happen. I mean,
if we want to talk about moral and religious values, you don't blame the victim, for God's sakes, and you don't make the victim responsible for the problem.
Well, things are, it's a more complicated society today?
Well, to me, that's where I laugh at religious and moral values. There seems to be values of convenience.
Well, wait, what the hell's that got to do with? I mean, they were hacked in. There was all those names were stolen and IDs.
Okay, fine, but now it's their responsibility to make it right for everybody who had an account with them. Not simply give you some credit monitoring service and say good luck.
Well, no, they give you one of those security companies coverage for a year to protect you and all that. But I mean, they got breached. I mean, it's like
run around and change your password.
Well, I know, but it's like stealing from a bank.
All that they should.
It's like stealing from a bank. I mean, John Diligent went in there with a gun when he held up the National Bank in Ohio in 1933, and he stole $10,000. I mean, that's the way it is. I gotta let you go.
Be good.
Thank you. Very good afternoon, Chikala.
Hi, thanks for taking the call.
You're entirely welcome.
I couldn't disagree with the previous caller more vehemently. If you want to bring up topics like Eisenhower or Truman, go back as far as you want. But the fact of the matter is, back then, we were the world leaders. We were a superpower. We're not that anymore.
Well, we're still a superpower. I don't think, but I mean, economically, we've kind of turned into the analogy I gave earlier about the Soviet Union. And you're familiar with a fiddler crab on the marshes? Have you ever seen the little crab that comes out of the hole in the marsh, a saltwater marsh?
Yes.
And they got a big claw, and they got a little body. So that's what we're turning into.
There's a lot to be said, and that comment about constantly getting into wars that we can't win. It's not that we can't win.
We can win.
It's that we don't have the will to win, and there's not really any reason to win.
And but it's rigged not to win. It's rigged not to win. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
If you go in,
but the best way to win is to have people not engage you in the first place. And that's what we did for decades and for centuries. And that's what we did. We just put ourselves in a position where people said, let's not mess with them. And that works. So this nonsense about not spending on military, okay. Let's just give away free phones and free this and free that. And instead we get stepped on like what's happening right now. That's just nonsense.
We're an interventionist.
Really
we've really screwed up. Look at the Middle East. I mean, under Obama and Hillary Clinton and Bush too. I mean, Bush was I'm not in love with Bush either. I thought there'd be some improvements with we were sold this bag of crap of the most transparent administration in history is coming up with Obama. I'm going to be transparent. It's been one of the most obtuse, oblique, call it what you will, administrations and probably in history. Okay, look what's taking place. I mean, they sell us a bag of crap. Okay, now whether Trump is a reformer or not, time will tell. If they got to him or if we've been sold another bag of crap. So I don't know. That's my view.
This is not complicated. It's no different than the biggest, toughest guy in high school that nobody wants to mess with. That's where you need to be. You want to avoid conflict. You want to not get into wars. Then stop showing signs of weakness. Yeah, and,
well, no, but
that's all we do now.
Well,
is show signs of weakness.
We do. Listen, we're still killing a lot of people. But it's the kind of people running the country are the people like when you were in high school and they wore the saddle shoes and they were head of the student senate. These are the very people running the country now. And they were smug back then when they looked down at you. And now that they're in power, they could care less about you. All right, they're the ones who wore the saddle shoes. Okay, that crowd. And we have the power. We're killing people left and right. That's why they hate us around the world. And
it's just funny to me that people will complain about things that we spend money on that we could actually use, but nobody ever complains about all the giveaways that we have, all the entitlement programs and the the phones and the this and the that. Nobody complains about that. But
people
but my God, you spend a couple of $10 million on a new battleship, and it's like, oh Jesus, we don't need that,
Well, we have to protect ourselves.
We should just hand that out to people that don't want to work, and that's what I'm hearing more and more of. This will be a very interesting election cycle. I think it will be.
Thank you for the call. Enjoy the decline.
Thanks a lot.
Yep. Bye-bye. Very good afternoon to you, caller.
Yes, good afternoon, Ralph. This is a good segue into talking to you. This is Bob out on Cushman.
Hey, Bobby.
How you doing?
I'm doing better than I deserve.
Okay. Anyway, the reason I'm calling, I'm not calling about the military museum today, but I'm calling about the Haven militia. We're having, I'm a member of the militia too.
Okay. Tell us about what you guys got planned.
Well, we have a 2-day encampment at Fort Phoenix this weekend.
Okay. Starting when? Today?
And it'll go on till tomorrow afternoon.
Starts today, Bobby?
We're going to have the Civil War era cannons fired tonight.
Okay.
About 15 minutes prior to sunset. Sunset, I believe you said, was at 6:37. So if people want to witness the cannon firing at the fort, which is spectacular at sunset.
Awesome, yeah.
They should get there, shortly after 6 to make sure you get a parking spot. Now we're
hey, let's make a bet. Let's make a bet.
With the Pokemon crowd that's down there every day now. So
can we make a bet?
If you want to get down there and park and see the cannon firing, make sure you leave early enough.
Can we make a bet, Bobby? Let's make a bet. If you put a real cannonball in that cannon, do you think it could reach Davy's locker from there? I'll pay $100 if it makes it.
It probably would. Yeah.
It costs some crazy little hell over there, but
24-pounder cannonball.
Yeah.
Could shoot out of that cannon. You could probably
reach Davy's locker across the.
Yeah, be close to the lighthouse out there.
Yeah, you could hit the lighthouse too. That'd be good target practice.
That's the Edge restaurant now, the old Davy's locker.
Oh.
So.
Well, next to Davy's locker is beside the Edge. Well, we want to hurt anywhere any civilians are. You could shoot at the lighthouse though. It's sitting in the mud. It's not going to sink. I'm only kidding. I don't want to see Homeland Security coming down.
How's that?
Uh-huh.
It would take 8 pounds of powder to shoot a 24-pounder out there.
Wow, 8 pounds of powder.
Normally, when we fire the cannons for ceremonial purposes like we do tonight and 4th of July, we put about 18 to 20 ounces of powder, just a little over
a pound, then?
8 pounds of powder would do a lot of damage.
Yeah, So what do you put a wad in there or something to?
Yeah, we use cardboard backing and aluminum foil, and we pack the powder inside a plastic bag, and then we use the ram it down.
Yep.
Just below the touch hole on the cannon, and then
interesting.
We light a wick. There's a touch hole up there.
Yep. Put
the wick down there, and once you light it, you punch a hole through the bag first.
That'd be awesome.
With a prick, and then you put the fuse down there, and once you light that, and once it hits the powder, it's gone. It blows it right out of the tube.
Awesome.
Cannon. So anyway, So it's and the encampments in conjunction with, we've been inviting the Wareham militia for the last couple of years, so they've been down there too. So it's pretty impressive. We have over 20 tents set up.
So it starts up, it's on this evening, and then tomorrow you have an event.
It started this morning. Actually, we set up camp last night.
Oh, good. Well, folks, get
we were
out
all
there.
set up before dusk and
head down to Fort Phoenix.
In Fort Phoenix, right? Be there all day and into the evening, and then all day tomorrow from 9 till about 3 o'clock. They'll break camp about 3 o'clock so they can get out of there. And
great. If you got kids, head down there.
Yeah.
Or if you haven't grown up yet and you're still a kid, go down there.
Well, they do this one in September in commemoration of the British landing.
Oh, yeah, when they came and burned down New Bedford.
When they landed at Clark's Cove and Cunnigham Point, 4,000 troops.
Yeah, and they marched through New Bedford and burned down all the rebels' houses, and they left the Tories alone and went into a cushion.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. And then they burnt the fort down, and then they rebuilt it. And that's how they named it Fort Phoenix. It rose from the ashes. So
that's why when the British landed, they probably went to confiscate anybody with arms as well, which would be the rebels. And same with Bunker Hill. They went to get the guns and the powder.
Right.
And
they.
That's right. The Second Amendment.
This fort had a lot of privateers going out, and a lot of British supply ships. They were getting their supplies from the vineyards, and the privateers from the harbor here would go out there. And
New Bedford was a wealthy harbor.
Oh yeah,
it was a wealthy harbor. Had a lot of assets and capital. So they knew that. The British, it was things were much more clearly defined back then. You didn't have all the distractions of life. So they knew which side you're on. Well, Bobby, thank you very much for that intel.
Okay, I called earlier on Tim's program and Ken's program.
Good.
I figured I'd hit you up too.
All right, no problem at all.
Word around. So.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, have a good day. I'll see you this week. My Windstar's getting some work done in your shop. So.
Okay, thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it.
No problem, Ralph.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, and I hope to see a lot of people down at the fort.
Yeah. Be sure to head down to Fort Phoenix this evening and watch the cannons go off, and tomorrow all the events they'll be running down there. Good time to go down and educate yourself and your kids as well. Thank you, Bob. Very good afternoon to you, Carla.
So, Ralph, how's the life of a deplorable today?
Oh, well, we're doing okay. I'm glad to see the deplorables call me as well, so that's good.
Hey, I didn't catch all of what Mr. Perfect was talking about. The guy was on a couple of calls ago, but there was a show that maybe you didn't catch about Putin. It was on the Nat Geo channel earlier this week, and they didn't have too many good things to say about him. And
about Putin? Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know how he got into power?
How?
Well, the guy who was in before him, Yeltsin.
Yeltsin, that's right. Yeah.
Was worried that him or his family was going to be prosecuted for things that happened under his regime.
Yep.
So I guess Putin promised him that, nothing will happen to you or your family. So he said, hey, you're my kind of man, and so he put him in as his successor, and I thought, that probably nothing's happened, nothing has changed, to human nature in the last 2,000 years, because I think that's what probably happened, in the Roman Empire too. I know I was watching this show on the Romans, and that wasn't why they put somebody in, but the reason one emperor, put the next emperor in was that you're compared to the ones that near your successors. So he put in somebody he knew would be worse than himself, so he would look good instead of having this greater, I want the best, person for my people. No, he wants the worst person, so he'll look good compared to him.
Well, I bet Putin was a transitional president because they were leaving the Soviet Empire, and going in the first 10 years. They've only been 25 years outside of communist Soviet control. So they're, the first 10 years were chaos, absolute chaos. I've met people from Russia back in the 90s, and the economy was absolutely terrible when they went from a Soviet communist system to this. Now they've embraced capitalism. So,
another thing they mentioned was that when George Bush Sr. was there, when he was meeting with
he attended the May Day parades. Yeah.
And so he needed something to say to the American people, and what a line of BS he came up with. He said, I looked into the eyes of Putin, and he's a man that you can trust. I'm ad-libbing because I don't remember his
Yeah, no, you're
words,
right.
But he's a man you can trust. I looked into his eyes and all this kind of stuff. And right after that, they had Bob Gates on, who was I think the Secretary of Defense then, and he said, wow, the only thing he was thinking was that, boy, Bush was really slinging it there. I mean, he, of all the things you could say about him, that's not what he would have said. What he said was that if he looked into the eyes of Putin, he saw a cold-blooded KGB killer. And how the heck did our president come up with that? But he had to sell a line of baloney to the U.S. people, and that's what he did. So it's pretty sad.
They, there's been a lot of changes over there in that country. They've gone through a wrenching change when their empire collapsed, and we have to be cautious this doesn't happen to us. Okay, and the collapse of our empire. Okay, and we're on very shaky ground now financially. Okay, no one wants to talk about these things.
All the countries are, Ralph.
But no country has the debt that we do.
I'll tell you, a lot of countries have the debt. It's unbelievable. I've been reading this book on that, and I'll find it again.
They don't. Okay, if you're going to compare it to Japan, which has a much higher debt, per capita of GDP, I hear you. But the Japanese people, they're prolific savers. Americans are prolific spendthrifts. We don't have the savings the Japanese. That's one of the reasons the Japanese have been able to continue is because their people save. If they make 50,000, they live on 30, and they save 20. Americans make 50,000, they spent 60. So there's a difference in culture and society. So and then not to mention all the contingent liabilities I think we're the big kahuna, and since we're the largest economy in the world, if the crap hits the fan here, the whole world goes dark. Okay.
Well, I don't disagree with how much debt we're in, but I'm telling you, I read this book, and I'll have to find it and tell you. But the overinflated prices of real estate are not just in this country. In fact, Australia and
China's the big one.
Yeah, the debt load in a lot of countries are unbelievable.
But if you look at their GDP versus our GDP, they're not nearly as large as we are, other than China. China's a different ballgame altogether. They're second to us. So if you're looking at Australia, I mean, their GDP is nowhere near ours. I mean, it's a relatively small country with how many people in Australia? 35 million?
No.
35 million people. I forget what Australia was. Not much, not around Canada size. All right, my friend, I got you go. Get them backed up here.
Nice talking to you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
You too. Be safe.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Very good afternoon to you, caller.
Hello, how are you?
I'm better than I deserve.
Hey, I want to talk to you about a few things, right?
Go ahead, go.
The SUVs that are on the road.
Yep.
Unitized body construction versus body on frame. What do you say is the percentage?
They're more. That's a good question now. So, what's the percentage now on the road?
Yeah.
The percentage of
car makers like GM, Toyota, Ford.
They're moving to unibodies at a fast rate.
Really?
Yeah, the frame, body on frame is starting to go away rather quickly. Other than the biggest rigs.
Other than the biggest rigs.
Virtually all the small and intermediates are going unibody because it's cheaper and lighter to get better fuel mileage to meet the new federal codes.
I guess it all depends what you want to use the sport utility vehicle for.
Absolutely. Okay, you're focused. Yes, you're right. You're right. If you're a serious off-roader, if you're in the mountains, the trails, body on frame on body generally gives you more strength and ability to make changes in it. Where unibody, that it's defined more clearly as far as the design that they've chosen. That's it. You have some parameters to make changes, but not nearly as much with a frame vehicle. like a
It's
truck
working,
chassis.
right?
It's a heavier rig. It's made for more serious work.
So if all you're doing is driving around during various snowstorms, maybe the unitized body construction would be fine.
Well, a good classic case is Jeeps are virtually all unibody. They haven't had a frame unit. They haven't had a frame-built vehicle, let me think, other than the Wrangler now. Let me rephrase that. The Jeep Wrangler, which is probably one of the most tenacious off-road vehicles you can buy, although they've girly-ized the latest versions a little more. But the last one was the Grand Wagoneers in 91. Remember those? And the Grand Wagoneers up 91 was a big rig with the fake wood on the side and all that.
A few things about politics, if I could, right?
Yeah.
And the world. The kid that's running North Korea is the grandson of the man that Stalin installed during World War II.
Yeah, Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
He looks like one of those Kobe beef calves you see that are massaged to get fat. Especially when you see him around his offices. His offices look like they get 2 bowls of rice a day, and he looks like he's eating at McDonald's every day.
Yeah. And the National Geographic thing on Pew and a lot of propaganda. The USSR is gone, totally gone. But people still try to treat that part of the world like it's the USSR, and our media is trying to demonize that guy when a lot of things that he's doing is just in response to things that are being done to him and his allies.
Absolutely. Okay, you're pretty okay for a street kid. You got it down right, pretty good. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they have their interests, we have ours, but we've been encroaching on their. We're in their backyard. We're in Ukraine. Maybe the people there want some more democracy and all that, but the deal was made that Ukraine was part of the Russian sphere of influence.
And NATO promised it wouldn't
go in there.
Expand there.
That's right.
We pretty much worked to overthrow the government of Ukraine. Our policy in the Middle East is completely senseless. And we need a strong military, but what's costing a lot of money is the logistics cost of these extended military operations.
And also,
what's going to happen when all oil is sold in U.S. dollars?
Yep.
What's going to happen when that deal breaks?
Well,
and that really has significance.
We can
kind of brush it away because all oil is sold in U.S. dollars.
Right. That's right. That creates the demand for dollars. When we got off the Bretton Woods under Nixon, and they took us off the gold standard, they had to put the dollar to something to make it in demand, and that was to the petrodollar. You're right. Stay informed, my friend.
Yeah. It's crazy the way the world is going, especially this country. It's going.
Pay attention,
not
Pay
good.
attention. Yeah, go online, do your research, keep informed. And take with a grain of salt what you hear from a lot of people. There's so much misinformation out there.
That's true.
And make sure you vote.
Phone's cracking up. I can't hear you too good. So.
All right. Well, thank you for the call.
All right.
I appreciate for the call. Thank you very much. I think he's a first-time caller. Who's this? Where we got? Who's next? Okay. A very good afternoon to you, caller.
Hello. Good afternoon, Ralph.
Hey.
I just wanted to say I think that productivity, you were talking a couple of callers ago about, he was talking about productivity. I think that's got a pretty specific definition, I think, in most economics courses. It's output per man hour. It's how many goods a worker produces every hour.
Correct.
I think that's sort of the technical definition. Just that's
productivity.
Not adding anything to anybody's argument or taking away.
How many cars you assembled with how many people in a given hour?
Let's put it in. How many cars per hour?
So if we
one worker.
If we can make 125 cars an hour instead of 100, we've increased productivity 25%.
Let's keep it simple. If you're making 1 per hour,
but more importantly,
1 good per hour, and you double the productivity, make 2 goods per hour, then you can take that benefit in 3 ways. You can double the wages of the worker for that hour, and in that case, the profits would also double for the boss. Or you can cut the price in half, as I think they did in the early days of the assembly line with Ford and everything, all that stuff. You can half the price, and basically the wage earner makes the same wage, and the profit stays the same for the owner, for the boss,
and the workers
as
too.
Before.
Yeah, I hear you. No, your thoughts are right.
And for the boss, something like that.
Right. No, you're right. You're a focus.
And also, go ahead.
No, you're right.
But also, you get the benefit of you're able to sell more cars.
It's like computers.
They're cheaper.
Yeah, it's like computers. If computers, the power increases, the price comes down.
And the third way that can happen, you double the productivity, and the boss makes
more money.
More.
Well, that's what they do when they take the factories and move them to Mexico. and you put modern American machinery and German machinery, and you're paying the Mexicans a tenth of what you're paying the Americans.
Yeah.
So you've increased your productivity and profitability, and you're not distributing it amongst the workers.
I've always thought that there's a limit to how much you can increase, how much it's possible to increase productivity. I've always thought that somehow. I don't know why.
Well, but
I just don't see how you. I think that the reason the Chinese are producing much more than we are now is not because of any greater mechanization or automation. Well,
they're not as productive as Americans.
They're producing them cheaper because they take less wages.
Right.
And I don't know how they can do that.
Well, because they don't. They're not.
I don't know how.
It's very easy. It's very easy. They're not living your life standard, your standard of living.
But hell, I don't live a lavish lifestyle by any means. I don't see how they do that. It must mean that even though they're not making much money, somehow goods are cheaper in their country.
No, they're living on less. I mean, they listen.
They are living
40 years ago, you were lucky to have a Mao black bike, a new Mao black bike. You were on top of the world. Now they sell more cars in China than America. Their wealth has increased. Yeah. We're getting poorer. They're getting wealthier.
Yeah.
And their productivity is good. I got to let you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Caller, you're on next.
Yep. Couple of breath of fresh air, couple of good calls, that's all. Have a nice day.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. Caller, you're next. Hello.
Hello, Ralph.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I got a couple of questions for you. My wife's got a 1998 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
98 Jeep Grand. Okay, I'm with you. Yep. Last year of that generation, first generation model. Yep.
And we've had it for about 15 years.
Yep.
And,
how's the body?
The body's in good shape. It's been in the garage all the time.
Okay, 6 or 8.
The only thing, you get a wicked smell when the heater's on or the air conditioner.
Okay. You got to have. Is it a 6-cylinder or 8-cylinder?
6-cylinder.
Okay. Okay. I'm just curious. So it's a Laredo. It's a Laredo, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Grand Cherokee Laredo. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you got analog heater controls. Okay. You have organic material trapped inside the heater box because of leaves and tree droppings and what have you getting in around the wipers into the crawl area that falls into the heater box and starts to rot and smell. They have treatments for that to get some of it out. That's what
I thought maybe a mouse got in there and died.
Well, that could be too. I mean, have to be investigated. Usually, if the mouse gets in there, it hits your squirrel cage and gets sliced and diced, and it ruins your squirrel cage, and you have to replace it. That's when we get involved. We've done a lot of those, yeah. But if your fan is working okay, the chances are you don't have a mouse. It depends on the vehicle. Around your wipers, you open the hood if there's a lot of leaves and debris, and you already have an idea what's going on.
No, it's inside the garage all the time.
Is it? Okay. Then maybe it is a mouse.
It could be a mouse that got into the garage door, so they don't close that tight.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, usually the mice, like I said, get caught in a squirrel cage and they get sliced up and they stink to high heavens. Does it smell like a dying rodent? Or does it smell like organic matter, like leaves and mud and debris that collects in the heater box?
No, it just smells like a dying rodent. But
okay, so okay.
2 years now,
Okay, well, there's distinct differences. They both smell not good. The dying mouse, a dead mouse, is definitely more noxious. But that could very well be.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you have to pull the fan out and look in there or rinse it out good. Make sure it's clean and washed out well. And get in there and do that, and to get the smell out, you might have to remove the grill work where the crawl area is, and get in there and wash it out good. Make sure your drainage hose is in good shape and not blocked up. So if you rinse it out with some water, you don't flood inside the passenger compartment. Okay.
Yeah, I got you. The second question is,
Go.
I talked to Billie a lot.
Yeah.
She's got a '54 Mercury.
Yes, he does.
That was my first car.
Oh, wow, okay.
In the 54 Mercury. But I had a lot of trouble with it. The rear main seal was constantly leaking. I brought it back to the guy who bought it off the used car lot there. Mm-hmm. It went back there, 3 or 4 times. He kept on changing the seal, and always done that. I was wondering if it was something that's common in that model.
I don't know personally. He probably have a better answer. Sounds like that pinion shaft maybe had some wobble in it. You probably had to have the bearings replaced to tighten it up so that the seal didn't get worked out so hard and leak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I traded it in anyway. I got rid of it. So.
Yeah. Well, you did that 40 years ago. What are you asking me the question for now? How many kids?
Yeah. That was,
40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's a common occurrence with that model or something.
Yeah. Back then, you got to remember that they didn't have computerized CNC machines. Things were not as accurate as today, unless you were paying for precision and mass production like that. Not all of them came out the best possible way. So, you had a leak here, a leak there. Leaks were much more common back in those days than they are today, although today they're still a problem. But not to the extent that they used to be.
Yeah, it was a real serious leak. It wasn't just a drip. It's something that had to bring it back to the dealer every time it started. But
yeah, I hear you. Yeah. But what are you driving now?
Well, I got a Dodge truck.
Okay.
Ram. Yeah, I got a Dodge truck. Yeah.
Ram truck?
What's that?
A Ram truck?
No, it's a pickup truck.
Well, yeah, Dodge Ram pickup.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a full size, not the Dakota. Okay.
No, it's a full size one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's 3/4 ton.
Yeah, you should have it undercoated though, so it don't rot out on you.
Well, that stays in the garage all the time too. And
yeah, but you take it on a salty road. You look underneath it, see the condition. What year is it?
When the weather's bad, I'm getting to that age now. When the weather's bad, I stay in anyway.
Yeah. What year is it?
It's an 02.
Well, trust me. Get under it and look at it. Then you tell me. Okay, my friend. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for taking my call.
You're entirely welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. By the way, folks, we do undercoating on vehicles. We can help you out with that. And undercoating starts on automobiles at $200 and on trucks at $250 for fluid film. We offer the two systems fluid film, and we do the solvent-based undercoating, which is a bit more money, kind of like a black solvent base. It's much more difficult to work with. It does cost more depending on the vehicle you have, the year, and the use. We can give you the best way to go for you. But if you don't have your vehicle or your truck protected, vehicle, van, truck, from the salt, they use this new liquid salt. It's very, very corrosive and gets into the minutest cracks. And it does pay to protect these vehicles. It costs a lot of money, and you get all your money back if it's maintained properly. So before it rots out on you. And don't forget, Christmas coming. We got those great Crane radios we sell at highly discounted prices, cheaper than you can buy them on the internet, and we have them in stock. And you can pick them up without having to pay any shipping costs. Check them out. They start at $63. We have them in stock. And be sure to check out ralphscars.com. Thank you for listening. God bless. Be safe. Catch you next week. Bye-bye.